Thank you so much, Sister Ruth. I really loved what you shared. Empathy is really getting to understand. But how can I understand unless I relate with my sister from the heart? Just as you were talking there, that's what I was really thinking, because I've seen what you've mentioned. I've experienced what you were talking about a lot. And I think it just reminded me how we need to connect with the heart and, to be relational. It's like you can't, our relationships need to be so strong enough, so grounded and so rooted before we can actually know that what we are saying is going to heal rather than cause someone to bleed. I think that's what I took away when you're saying ask for permission to give that advice. And I think the greatest permission that you can have for me is relationship. So unless you really take the time to care, to know, to connect with me from the heart, to know me from the heart. I think this is one thing I always love to do, to get to know my sister from the heart. People are not like commodities on a shelf. We are people with emotions. When you're talking about empathy, compassion, and kindness, these are real emotional connections. It flows from the emotional space of who we are, how God has made us as human beings. And God has made us to be relational beings. So for me, when I look at this kindness to self, it does include that connection from the heart, that relational aspect with people, so that I begin to know. That's how I think. Who is there for me? Who is who to me? Who is that person I can actually go to? Who is my go-to with what I'm going through, when I'm going through? I love what you said, that we are all different. Others want their space. And so if you really get to know each other, I love the 5 love languages you brought there, because unless we actually know each other, unless you really know me, how are you going to even care for me and show me that kindness? Because what you think is kindness to me might not be kindness. You may be feeling like to give me space, yet I don't want to be given space. I actually want you to connect with me rather than, be there. But we are all different. So thank you so much for what you brought. I think I could really resonate with a lot of that. I could identify with a lot of what you were sharing there. Now, for me, I think also that idea of that the way I show myself kindness. Lately, I've been looking at and been very inspired by just looking at how I plan for me. Planning for self. And it just took me to, I pulled out a SMART goals chart. When you're talking of SMART goals in the academic world, in the world of administration and management and leadership and business and all that, we are talking about planning, setting goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time specific or timely. And I just wanted to share this because this is one tool I've been using for myself lately, having gone through a very tough season with grief. And I thought I need to be kind to myself. And so I began to think about, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to get? I'm going through this. And once I became aware of it, and also, as Sister Epi was saying, sometimes you realize that it's not just you. You have other responsibilities. You have so much that is waiting for you, and yet you are the same person feeling this way. I was thinking, how do I then juggle around? And I don't like to be fake. I like to be real. So I'm going through this stuff. What can I do to cope and to look after me, as well as look after, particularly when I look at children? There's nothing I can do. They're my children. They're my lot. I still carry, and I still must be mom at home. I must still be wife. So how do I balance and juggle this? So I had to be very intentional. I think that's the key word I'll leave for us: intentional. I've had to be intentional, and planning and setting goals for me is how I've been intentional. And so I've said, what do I want to get out of this? When can I put a time frame for myself, and who can I involve? Who can I involve? So knowing my go-to, who is my go-to to support me through what I'm going through. So that's how I've tackled that specific aspect, the S. And then to the measurable aspect, to say, when I have accomplished, what do I want to come out of this season having learned? What can I use? How can I channel this more positively? What do I want to see? And it just led me towards, some of those reflections of how has this season made me feel? And so what does this look like in terms of how I go forward, helping and supporting other people through their journey, through their grief? It's something that I do a lot. I support so many people through their own journey. And I like to say we journey together. I think we do journey together, but sometimes my own experience and journey can be such that I am not able to give much. So I need to be aware of what I'm putting into my own pot, so that out of that, I'm also able to give. And that's where empathy and compassion really comes from and can be stirred up in my own experience. Because if I am not, if I am empty, I'm running empty, I'm most likely just going to bleed on you. I'm most likely going to not have much to give to you. So I need to be intentional in the everyday experiences and everyday business that I have to handle. So I've looked at, when I am, that is what I then did was I had to think of how do I break down some of those tasks or some of those things that I'm putting down, because I cannot handle too much at the moment. So so that also takes us to the achievable aspect. And I've had to say, what are my strengths right now? What are my weaknesses right now? So being real with myself, what is it that I am feeling? What is it that I'm able to handle now? What is it that I'm not able to handle now? And so if there's anything that I need to shelve and think of who are the most important people I cannot ignore now. And for me, that has included my husband, my children. And so I've had to put some of the things behind, this list or after these people, so that I'm able to prioritize, because this is only what I can handle, what I can achieve right now. So looking at what is it that is in my toolkit right now. And so what else, what available support is also there to help me? So I've also had to look at some of these things and say what support is available. So some of the spaces where I would have gone to, my other sisters that are stronger at the moment. I love what we're sharing, because I can't go to Sis Epi when I know that Sis Epi would have been probably one of my go-to. But because I've been aware of, I feel also my sister is going through a season, I didn't have to come and load her with whatever I am going through. So we, to just try and put that list, I think it helps with what Sister Ruth, you've been sharing there. Sometimes we do these things unintentionally. So I just think that this is how this tool, such a tool can help us to actually think, what is so-and-so going through, if we know, or if we perceive by the Spirit of God. Because, this is one thing I love about relationship with God, because we can also find that depending on where we are, we might find that we tap into the spaces of our own faith to actually give us more insight and wisdom in terms of how we approach our relationships and kindness to other people. So, this is what I've done with that aspect of, relevant things. And, what result do I want to get? Thinking about my season of life. What season of life am I in? I think this is what it all boils down to. Let's know the season of life that we are in and what we can handle in each season. We are being kind to ourselves. And when we are kind and we've put in so much and we're able to handle things, we are then better able to impart life to others, to support others, to be kind and compassionate to others. And then also you may put that time frame for yourself where, give yourself a realistic time period to say, maybe this is just time for me to take time out. I'm on a retreat with me, myself, and I, or you actually take that time out to go on an actual retreat with others. Know where, be intentional, plan for those spaces where you can actually go to heal, plan for that time out of whatever sometimes the work that we have to do. It might be ministry, it might be in the workplace. you need to take time out. So I've had to take time out for myself, having gone through periods of illness, but also a period of grieving, and say, this is time for me to actually heal, not just in body, but also emotionally, mentally, and being aware of what's going on in all those spaces. Listening to my body physically, but also my mind, my emotions, and know what I can handle. If I was feeling a bit more emotional, that would tell me, I think I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go out into the social spaces, out to a party. I'm not ready to host Christmas with my family. And I have been very upfront and honest with my family that I don't feel like I want to host because I'm not in that space where emotionally, mentally, I can cope with this. So sometimes, it really helps. I thought this is a tool I'll just share with us all. Let's know our season and then plan intentionally for our journey of healing and being kind to ourselves so we can also be a great help to others. Thank you.